Oh, I forgot my little card. Oh, maybe I'll have to make a new one. Anyway, I have slightly changed locations, but the box that I bought, here's the packaging for it, so this thing, to hold my extra diamond painting supplies has arrived. So it is disassembled, which does make a certain amount of sense because then it's much easier to work on flat planes. So we will start work on this puppy. This is somewhat in a mandala style, so it's no, that's correct. So there is a certain amount of what would it be? Radial, I think, symmetry, somewhat to it. I say as it very blatantly does not follow a radial, as it does not follow a radial symmetry pattern. Whatever, it's fine. It's in colors I like. I am not going to be too worried or torn up if it's not absolutely perfect. I prefer to work larger objects like this, and you may have seen me do it so with the coasters as well, from the outside in. That way if you do get interrupted partway through, it's not as big of a deal to have the middle not go weird. Okay, so there's quite a bit more of 8 than there was of 10. I'll be sure to put quite a bit more into the thing. It's a little bit nice that these came in resealable bags instead of the little sealed ones which you have to cut open with scissors. This means that I get to actually work from the bags, and I don't have to try to match them up with my little storage containers until after the project is done. I'm trying to actually get ahead of my uploads now, so I'll probably be working this whole box in one shot. I might even assemble it. Well, maybe not. I might seal it first and then assemble it. But I'll break it into a few videos. Probably there's the top and bottom piece, which are both quite a bit larger. I'm doing the sides here first. So those will probably be one video, possibly two each. We shall see. Actually, that's a good question. I know the top has gems on it. Does the bottom? I'm not actually sure. So here's the top. Here's the bottom. Nope, the bottom does not have gems on it. Okay, that makes more sense. It would be much more prone to damage. Okay, so the top will probably be one, maybe two videos. We shall see. And I don't have to work on the bottom. So when I'm talking about sealing, it's basically a semi-specialized glue. Honestly, as long as it dries clear, you probably could use just about any glue. The difference with this one, if there is a difference, I would have to look, is that I assume that the sealing glue for diamond paintings is light fast. So basically, if you have a clear glue that is not light fast, it will generally turn yellow over time, or it'll get opaque and cloudy. It's kind of like how if you have a pigment that's not light fast, usually those will fade with exposure to UV radiation, basically. Not so much indoor lights, those are not as big of a culprit, though maybe they could have an effect. I'm not sure. I don't think they do. I'm pretty sure it's the sunlight that's the problem. If anyone was curious, yes, I am very good at reading numbers upside down and letters. I don't know why exactly we determined it, but when we were younger, me and several of my siblings just decided it was a good idea to be able to read things upside down. So we'll see how long this panel takes me. If it's not too long, then I will grab the other panel of this size. It's a rectangle, there's two short and two long sides. Oh, I missed some 10s. That's alright. We'll get back in there and get those. I have, over time, accumulated quite a few of these pen things. Most of the things I've done with diamond painting stuff have been kits. So, I mean, I've probably by now obtained just about enough of the little gem things that if I wanted to just work off of like a cross stitch pattern or something, I probably could. I don't know how easy making the grid for that would be. Something to experiment about in the future, I suppose. older child is now at school, which means that I now have a bit more time to attempt to keep the house in order. So I sorted about half of the accumulated random stuff in my front entryway, actually hung up a bunch of coats and some other supplies we'd had from when we went camping that we haven't needed to use, but we also haven't needed to have put away. Should I do those 10s first or attack those 2s? Go over there for now. I'm trying out setting myself up in a second location as opposed to my fiber crafting corner in the living room, so that if my husband wants to do a raid or something in one of his games with his friends, that he can do so and be able to chat away without worrying about either me disturbing him or him disturbing me. Not that I think it matters too much, but we do try to accommodate each other as much as we can. I don't have to worry about making supper tonight because husband is going to make some, I assume he's going to steam them this time, but he's going to make some homemade siu mai, which is a Chinese pork dumpling kind of thing. Last time he made the mixture and pan fried it, so I think the kids eat it a little bit better when it's steamed. So that's probably what we're going to do. I assume there's going to be a lot more too on the other pieces. Alright. Do I want to attack that 12 now? Yes, I think I will. Probably this one. Yep. Big gems. These are big enough, I'll just turn them over with my fingers. Is this where I tried myself for cutting my nails, or not? Got it. There you go, that's probably enough of them. Alright. The fun thing about any time you gotta use one of these big ones is if it's too big for the pen, how do you put it on? There we go. Ah, look at that. Looks like I got out exactly enough of these. Stick back down. Stick down. Probably either the 7 or the 1 next. There we go. Make sure it gives a good push. This little what do they call these things? Bed table? Lap table. Couch table. something along those lines. I forget. It has an actual name. But it's kind of nice and sturdy, which is good. I think I'll do the ones next. This is going to be quite a bit of fun. As you may be able to guess by the direction of shadows, I am on a sort of different facing of the house. Or rather, I am actually being lit primarily by a window. It is decently, it's overcast, but it's decently bright today. I would have been doing some yard work right now, except for the fact that it is very smoky outside. We are in wildfire season yet. And the fires burning, I believe, in the northwest part of our province currently have had us under an air quality warning for the last few days. Today it is actually a little bit less than what it had been for a couple of days before. That then was quite bad. We had like almost the most severe warning for wildfire smoke. But today it's not too bad. Probably need to change the poor furnace filters. Poor furnace's filter. So. But where we live, we don't usually have a whole ton of pollution in the air. So these days are somewhat unusual. Though I will say that compared to last year, we haven't actually had anywhere near as much smoke. Last year was quite bad for the fires, at least blowing into our city region. I want to refresh my little clay thing already. Seems like it. It's quite fascinating just how few, this thing's not staying on, how few colors you actually have to have in order for, oh dear. Watch out for that. I've got my phone on a arm thing. Which is fortunately or unfortunately attached to the, I'm working on one, the headboard on the bed. I'm sitting on the bed. Mostly because I'm not convinced that the chair that I've got up here would be all that conducive for this process. If I was painting, I'd have it on I know what the word is. My little dresser thing. It's a repurposed nightstand where I keep my painting stuffs. But currently those are covered in painting stuffs, and I did not feel like moving them all in order to do this. So I will figure out optimal arrangement at some point in time. On the bright side, I haven't had any calls for the school for anything today, so I assume that means my son made it without any problems. Last year, he was taking the bus for the first time, and because the bus that he rides stops at more than one school, he had actually gotten off on the first day at the wrong school. Thankfully, his name and my number are on the inside of his backpack. So the school's office workers were able to get in contact with me not too long after the school kind of start time, when they figured out that this little boy was not supposed to be there. So they called me and I was able to come pick him up and deliver him to the correct school. That only happened once, but we did have a moment or two of worry, and I think he was a little bit nervous that something like that might happen again, since he hasn't had to ride the bus all summer. But it does not appear to have been the case, so I have not gotten any calls from the actual school saying that he is absent, nor have I had any calls from any other random place saying that they have him. That was a very interesting experience to have as a parent. I think the 7 will be a good one to do next. 13 and the 11 are both fairly large, but guess you don't get to see Hero in the background of the video. At least not right now. I'm not sure if he's up here sleeping on the floor, or if he is down on the main floor with husband, who is, I think he's trying to get a new game to work. It's new-ish, but it's, well, he hasn't played it before, but it is from a few years ago, so I don't know if he has to do anything with his computer to make it play it or not. My husband is much more of a gamer than I am. I used to play a decent-ish amount of Minecraft. Now I primarily just play a couple of random mobile games on my phone. If my older son asks, I will play Minecraft with him on our computer, but I don't know. If I want to be told a story, I generally rather read it, and I don't know, video games just aren't that attractive anymore to me. But then again, I also have like I have a lot of physical hobbies where I'm making stuff and able to create stuff or doing things like that. So it doesn't feel like video games have much of a place in my life right now, I guess. might be making up here my primary diamond painting area. The other painting stuff kind of fits. And then have downstairs be more for cross stitch and crochet and knitting and all that. I want to make some watercolor bookmarks, so I might do that at some point soon. I have some large sheets of paper that I think should work decently well for me to cut to shape, and then I'm going to probably trace out some stuff, I assume, just to get the placement correct. I'm going to try something slightly different. I've tried a couple of times now to use stencils with watercolor, but it's not the same as using acrylic on watercolor. Sorry, acrylic with staples. Because the watercolor, because the absorbency of the paper, and the fact that you want it to do that, if you've got either too much pigment or too high of a, well, basically, if you have too much paint on your brush, then the paper absorbs it underneath wherever the stencil is. So it doesn't look bad, like it still looks mostly like what it is for the ones that I've experimented with, but it's not exactly one-to-one with the stencil. So I'm going to try something else, which is to use a more narrow brush and a much lower amount of paint loaded into it per application, and see how that goes. Otherwise, if I did want to use a stencil, what I might need to just do, if I'm planning to do it with watercolor, is just to trace it on with an art pencil and then just freehand paint it from there. Because I mean, if it's not coming out exact under the stencil anyway, at least it's not going to bleed out quite as much if I've given myself a trace. Maybe that'll be something I'll experiment with if I make some little bookmarks. Stuck in the lines. Two of these. I missed a bunch of sixes. Where did I put that guy? There you are. Oh, they're gross. Are they too large? Yes, they are. Of course they are. There we go. Oh dear, I wasn't sure if I'd end up with more of these. Okay, lovely. There's piece number 1 done. We'll see you shortly for piece number 2.